Hello, this is CK7, and we are back for another round of commentary, this time the non-Disney Villain Tournament, Round 7, Part 1 and Part 2. Again, still, YouTube is acting weird, so I'm forced to do my commentary on the forum instead of YouTube. And sorry for the delays, I've been busy, working around the house, and of course, with today's case, Thanksgiving and all, and I hope everyone else had a happy Thanksgiving. So with that, let's get started with Part 1 of Round 7. So we have this conversation between Mach and the Master, which is interesting because for the first time in a villain tournament, we've had an animated villain interact with a live-action villain. In any other way, it probably wouldn't work because, it wouldn't edit very well, but here you have Mach interacting with another villain in another dimension through his computer, which makes total sense. And I'll be honest, interesting use of Bishop as animated Agent Smith. Very interesting. And so we go to Agent Smith, or in this case Bishop, versus Tyler. And I was so hoping Tyler was going to go down, since you all know how much I hate this dude. Mach has got to be one of the easiest villains to use in these villain tournaments because he has so much footage and he has so many sound bites that can be used. And also, you'll probably know that I posted a thread on the general board of the movie Rock and Rule, the movie that Mach is from, for any of y'all who have not seen the movie to get an idea of who Mach it really is. So I'm just wondering, how many of people have seen Rock and Roll? Just wondering, because I know there's a couple of y'all who haven't yet seen it, so if you want to see it, go check it out. It's on the general board somewhere. But I'll be honest, of all the animated villains, Mach has got to be one of the most epic, but also probably one of the most horrific animated villains ever made up. I mean, even Thrax is horrified by Mach as well, especially what he had Agent Smith do to Tyler. And I'm sorry, there is one thing that does confuse me though, but okay, it doesn't confuse me, but it does baffle me about Heavy Metal 2000, but there's one thing. I get it. He drinks this immortality stuff, it makes him immortal, and he heals his wounds. Here's what I don't get. How does he have the strength to be able to stand up and drink some of that stuff when he just had his chest being scarred open and all? That doesn't make much sense. I mean, is he just more stronger than the average human? I'm assuming. I guess. I don't know. But I was hoping he was going to get killed here, but no, he still lives. And so we go into the Dark Chi Warriors versus Chase Yun and Scorpion. Not too much to say on this fight, really. As we finally get to see the Jackie Chan villains in their Dark Chi form fight. Like I said, never saw the Shaolin Showdown, so don't know much about this Chase Yun character. Although I wonder if we're going to see him eventually in Disney vs. non-Disney villains. As for Scorpion, I never knew there was an animated Mortal Kombat TV show. Or is it a movie? I don't know. Yeah, so I never knew there was a Mortal Kombat animated show, so don't know what to think about the Scorpion dude. And he has a bunny rabbit for some reason. I was kind of waiting for that rabbit to turn to General Woolwort. I'm just saying that would have been hilarious. But of course, General Woolwort is somewhere else. And I'm guessing that's the end of Scorpion, maybe? And here we go to Lord Malice versus Nox. And like what History Buff said, it's really surprising how many of these very obscure characters you're using in the series. Like, I had absolutely no idea who Nox was before this round. And he looks pretty awesome, but the thing that confuses me is not about the character himself, but the TV show he's from. From what I understand, he's from the show Wak Fu, which I've never heard of before. From what I understand, it's a French anime. That's the part that kind of threw me off, because I thought all anime are made in Japan. And, okay, I know here in America we make anime-like shows like Avatar: Last Airbender and the Xiaolin Showdown, but are there anime made in other countries besides Japan? Like in Europe, like this, for example? And if it is an anime, how is it different from Japanese anime? And what is Nox exactly? Is he a robot? Is he a alien? Is he just a guy in an armored suit or something? He looks like an evil miniature iron giant, or an iron midget. Well, not a midget, you know what I mean. That's what he kind of looks like. He looks pretty awesome, though. I hope we get to see more of him, even though I know nothing about him. It is surprising me that you kill off Malice already. And here we have the Baroness versus Lelouch and Suzaku. Not much to say on this fight, because like I said, I never watched Code Geass, and I never watched G.I. Joe, so not much to say here. But I will say this. Lelouch has got to be one of the scrawniest villains I've ever seen. I mean, I never realized how downright skinny he is. I mean, he's got these really long arms and these really long legs. I mean, really. I mean, he's about as skinny as Dr. Facilier. So much for being Geass-proof. Or at least I think that's what just happened. And here we have Quan Chi versus the Shredder. Good to see the Shredder finally fight in his live-action form. As for Quan Chi, I think he's from Mortal Kombat. I think, like I said, I've never seen the Mortal Kombat movies. So, don't know much about this character. Good fight, though, I will say, very well edited. Although it kind of confused me, like, who won this fight? Did the Shredder win, or did he get defeated by Quan Chi? Just wondering. And here we have the Colonel versus Lust. So, yeah, we have Traitor Slick, who tricks the Colonel to go fight someone, I guess. And I'll be honest, it's about time we saw the Colonel fight someone, because I think Spirits Down in the Cimarron is a really good film, and it's a shame because it really did fail at the box office when it came out, and I really love that movie. I mean, it's not really one of my favorite movies, but it's like a sub-favorite. And he confronts Lust, which, very interesting introduction by showing off her hooters. And yet we have a new anime series in this villain tournament, Fullmetal Alchemist, which I'm assuming it's about. I'm assuming it's about near as graphic as Hellsing, maybe not as much. I don't know. But you're making the Colonel quite a brute in this fight, I will say. And here's the thing: did she kill the Colonel, or is he somehow still alive? I'm just wondering. And here we have Triclops versus General Grievous. So it looks like the Galactic Empire is invading Earth, from what I'm seeing here. Like I said, I never saw this animated Star Wars The Clone Wars. I have seen episodes of the CGI one, though. And I'll be honest, it's not exactly as good as the movies and all. The Star Wars movies. But there is one positive thing I will say about both CGI and animated Star Wars. General Grievous gets a lot more action, because he barely had any screen time in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Because he's probably one of my favorite villains in Star Wars, I'll be honest. So I'm glad he's here. And finally, for part 1, we have Crane versus Vilgax. Like I said back in round 5, I've only saw a couple episodes of Ben 10, but never really appealed to me that much. I mean, it's not a bad show, it's just it doesn't appeal to me that much. And I'll say, Vilgax, he really does look like a mechanized Cthulhu, like what History Buff said. Just kind of watching this right now. So did he just kill Crane or what? And also, who is this guy? I mean, I think we saw him in round 5 epilogue, but I'm just wondering, who is he? Because I don't recognize him. And we go to the interlude. You know, I'll say, even though I never saw the Jumanji TV series, Trader Slick, he seems like a pretty, I'm assuming he's like the comic relief villain in the show, because, like here, Cortez was being all serious, and he's threatening to enslave Slick, but Slick's just all like, do I even give a care, or something like that. Like, he's just being all sarcastic and all. Kind of like some high school students. And so, Thrax and Tyler plan to backstab Mach. This should get interesting, I will admit. And that was part 1. Sorry if that part I didn't have much to say on, but let's see if part 2 if I have more to say. Come on. Come on. Okay, here we go. Whoa! Hold on, let me... That was a little loud. Alright, so yeah, we have Shredder with some villain from The Legend of Korra, I'm assuming. And here we have all the magical villains and all. Dracula decides to choose someone to be like a second in command, but of all the villains, he chooses Myotis Mon. So this is the mighty Myotis Mon that a lot of people on the forums been talking about. He seems like an interesting character. But Vlad Plasmius and Sam Hain don't seem very pleased about this. And Robotnik leaves Snively in charge. Now, what was that screaming sound that just played? Was that a glitch that you just made when you were making this video, or was that actually in the Sonic episode? It was just going in Snively's mind about his fear of Robotnik. Which, I don't blame him. Robotnik, he actually is a pretty imitating character. And just as Robotnik leaves, things go horribly wrong. And so we go into Snively versus Megatron, which I'll be honest, when I first heard this was going to be one of the fights, really surprised me. You have the little guy take on the leader of the Decepticons. That's a very interesting looking robot. And I'll be honest, after watching this fight, Sniffly, he seems pretty awesome for such a little guy. He actually knows how to fend for himself. Kinda. I mean, yeah, he doesn't win this fight, but at least he does try to fight off Megatron. Robotnik's gonna be pissed. And here we have the Grand Duke of Owls versus Septimus, I think is how I pronounce his name? I don't know. Again, you're using very, very obscure villains. Sorry for the lagging, my computer really likes to screw up. But yeah, from what I understand, he's from a European movie called Dragon Hill, I think. Never heard of it. Obviously, because it's a film made in Europe. Looks kind of CG. It looks like it has a CGI sort of effect for an animated film. And it's good to see the Grand Duke of Owls given some sort of a role. Even though, I'll be honest, Rockadoodle is actually kind of a cheesy film, but I mean, it's okay. And the Grand Duke of Owls, he's a pretty okay villain. Come on, don't screw up on me now. Yeah, I'm really sorry if my computer is screwing up. It's just, I don't know what the deal is. I really hope it doesn't screw up during my commentary, because then I'd be really ticked. And here we have Vlad Plasmus versus Moriarty. Which I'll have to say, he's actually being an idiot. I mean, really. Even though I'm kind of lost at this point on what all is going on, but yeah. Oh, this part kind of confused me. Is Plasmus dead or what? And so we go to Zorg versus Darth Maul. You know, the thing is, as you all probably know, Disney just recently bought Lucasfilm, so now that means Star Wars kind of counts as Disney, so that kind of threw off your plans. But I guess you're still going to include Star Wars films, which I'm alright with that, because I think Star Wars still is non-Disney, even though Disney just bought it. And also, Zorg, he's become a pretty popular villain lately. Now, there's one thing I'm wondering. Are you thinking about going to the CGI realm in this series? Because if you are you thinking about using the CGI Star Wars, the Clone Wars? Because there was an episode where it shows Darth Maul still lives, and he has these mechanical legs. I'm just saying, it'd be interesting if he somehow comes back later on in the series in his CGI form, if you do the whole CGI realm, like what Disney Villain Wars and Disney vs. Non-Disney Villains has done. And so we go to Myotis Mon versus Lord Darkar, or Darkar. I'm assuming he's a villain from the Winx Club, I think. Which I'll have to say, that is actually a very weird show from what I've seen. Also, nice change of music. Yeah, sorry if I don't have that much to say on this round. I mean, it's a good round, just not too much really sticks out to me in this series. Okay, that's kind of creepy, Dracula. And he gets away. And where we go to Sam Hain versus Professor Screw Eyes and the Nightmare King. So basically it's sort of a Halloween fight going on. Good night, is this guy creepy. Like I said, I never saw the real Ghostbusters, so I don't know much about the Sam Hain character. And he even sounds creepy. And this part really surprised me, that you killed off Puppettino, and he barely had any screen time in this series. You only had one fight, and right here, during a fight, you kill him off. If I remember correctly, he had a little more footage left in the unofficial non-Disney Pinocchio sequel. And we have the Nightmare King, which, I'll be honest, I'm glad that you're giving him somewhat of a role, because even though, yeah, he doesn't have that much footage from Little Nemo, but he has a sort of a good amount that can keep him here for a while. So I'm glad he won this fight. I'll be honest, he looks really weird when he's all freaked out and all. But that was incredibly well edited right there. And here we go to Mok versus Ember McLean. Finally, we have Mok's very first fight. Oh gosh, I hate this villain. I actually have seen the episode of Danny Phantom with Ember in it, and she is annoying, I will say. Although it does make sense you have these two fight. You know, you did use that soundbite already. You know that, right? Just wondering, that's all. And by the way, a history buff, to answer your question about your commentary for watching this, the reason that no one really knows about Ember is because her singing and all really hypnotizes everyone, or something like that. That's why no one noticed. They're all under her trance, so that's why they don't notice. And this part really surprised me, is that you summoned the demon already in this series, because that's something that you would normally say for the grand finale, but apparently Mok has a different plan for later on in the series, which that should be interesting, whatever it is. And I'll say, I noticed you just use that scene right there from We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. And that's one thing I always found interesting in some of these villain tournaments, is that sometimes when you have two villains fight, sometimes you use a clip from a movie that you're not even using a character, you're just using a clip from a movie. Like, for example, here you use a scene from We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, yet Screw Eyes is nowhere in this scene. Or, like, another example, in the Disney Heroes vs. Villains, during the Stitch vs. Ratigan fight, he used scenes from Wizards and The Secret of NIMH 2. And in Disney vs. non-Disney Villains, in the Anton Severius versus Baxter Stockman fight, they used one scene from Heavy Metal 2000, the scene where the immortality valve broke, you know. Like I said, I can spot different clips when I notice them, most of the time. But seriously, if the demon is not Mok's plan, then what is his plan? Well, you're probably not going to answer that. That'll be spoiling things. And we finally have the Daleks versus some guys who I cannot pronounce their name. The Galudes? They're from Stargate, that's all I know. So yeah, I don't know much about them. However, the Daleks, from what History Buff explained, they look pretty interesting. But like I said, I never watched Doctor Who, so don't know much about him. Just kind of watching this right now. You know, I find it interesting that you're using quite a few BBC shows in this series. You've used Doctor Who, you used Sherlock, you used... I don't think Supernatural is BBC, but it's similar. And I'm guessing... Oh, okay. Okay, I'll be honest. That catchphrase is pretty awesome. Even though it is cheesy and computerized, it's pretty evil and intimidating. But I'm just saying, I may have brought this up before, but I think it'd be so awesome if you can include Primeval somewhere in here, because that is one of my favorite, if not my all-time favorite TV show. Because it is probably one of the greatest BBC shows ever made. So, I'm just saying, it'd be very interesting if you could somehow incorporate Primeval in this, in this series. Or, how about this? Here's an idea I thought of. If you've never watched Primeval Sonic Shadow, here's two options. I could send clips of Helen Cutter. She was like the villain in the first 3 series. What if I gather up as much clips as I could of her and send them to you, and I'll let you think about how you think about using her in the series. Or another option is I have a couple ideas for a fight for Helen Cutter, but I don't know what live-action villain I can use. Like, one idea of a fight I have, but it might need to involve a villain that uses a sword or something like that. So I'm just wondering if you can, like, maybe you can send, if you can think of any villain, a really awesome villain that uses a sword of some kind with some sword fights action, and or something like that, and maybe some taunting footage, that'd be great. You know, something like maybe Tavington or some other villain. I'm just saying, because I have an idea for a fight for Helen Cutter, maybe, if it works. Although it may be as short as your Zord versus Darth Maul fight. I'm just saying. If not, maybe I could try to gather up clips of Helen Cutter and send them to you, see what you think. Because a lot of people love Primeval. It's become as popular as Doctor Who. Almost as popular. Now, I'm guessing they got away. And here we go to the epilogue. Gnorg and Froglip team up with Zigzag and One Eye. You tell him, Zackle Khan. And we have Devimon here now. And seriously, who is possessing Valmont? And here we have all the Fullmetal Alchemist dudes. I find it interesting that they're all named after the 7 deadliest sins. That's an interesting concept. Whoops, Snivelly screwed. I can tell that is you, Manwu. But very good job. You really do a good job at sounding like Cobra. And the Reina's taking over Ramesses big time. As well as the Horcrux. Wonder what Eris is going to do about this. And of course we have Hexus, Messina, Venger, and Saruman. Or as they pronounce in this Lord of the Rings, it's Aromon, which is weird. I don't know why they pronounce it like that. Oh, and Spellmaster. And more Nazis. Wait, where's this scene from exactly? It looks like a live-action movie, but I'm not sure where it's from. And Dracula and Moriarty both go into live-action realm. But first they kill off Simon and Lenore. Again, surprised to kill off another villain so soon. They're using the Moriarty from the you know, the Book of Shadows, but where's this, where's the Dracula dude from? Just wondering. So yeah, that's Non-Disney Villains Tournament, Round 7, both parts. Sorry if it wasn't that good. My brother was knocking on my door, in case you were wondering what that sound was. He probably didn't know I was doing a commentary. But yeah, like I said, I think it'd be really cool if you could use Primeval somehow, like Helen Cutter, or even the future Predators. That'd be really awesome if you could use them somehow. But I could try to, I mean, I'll let you know what you think, what you think about it. So yeah, this is probably one of my worst commentaries. I'm sorry if it wasn't that good, but yeah. Still a good round. Can't wait for round 8. And so yeah, this is TK Prime 7, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.